And hello, everybody. I think we are live. It's good to be here. And we're actually still working out the bugs here. This is the first time we're actually using a new studio. We're using Restream Studio right now to go live this time. So I'm just making sure things are working and that we have everything in place. So thank you for joining me. It's wonderful to have everybody. It is Friday. How lovely it is to finally be here. And let's take a look here. So today we are going to have a special guest joining us. Let's pull her up. Great. Okay. So I'll just make sure that gets over there. Give me 1 second, folks. Okay, cool. Sorry, thanks for your patience. That's like riveting video right there, I'm sure, for everybody. So, welcome. I'm Tim Street, the FSBO guy. For those of you who don't know me, I'm sure some of you do by now. And this week, I wanted to talk about a couple of things. And actually, I'm going to bring this over onto my other screen over here. And basically, what we want to talk about is last week, I put out a video called the $15,000 Rookie Home Seller Mistake. And I had some feedback on it, and one of the things that was really troubling. I shouldn't say troubling. One of the things that people had the biggest struggle with was they didn't realize just how many things they could say that would wind them up in hot water. And so I wanted to go over a few of those today. And when Dawn gets here, Dawn is, I think those of you out there have probably been following the podcasts and streams we've been doing for a while. Dawn is known as the Note Queen. She's just amazing. She's got such a great outlook on how to do these things. So I'm looking forward. Oh, there she is. Let me just make sure she can get in. You guys are like, what the hell is this guy do? Who let him run his own channel? I know it's ridiculous. I can't believe I'm actually allowed to use the stove unsupervised, but here we are. Okay. So we'll see if Dawn could get in that way. But there's a lot to be said for people who actually take their time and they explore this idea of selling on their own. And there are there are people out there, real estate agents, who get a little bit, well, they get pissed off at me when I tell homeowners that they could sell on their own. And well, I shouldn't say all real estate agents. There's a lot of them out there who are at the top of their game, not insecure. And what they do is they some of these guys, they get mad at me for showing people how to sell on their own. And that's not to say that real estate agents don't have value. In fact, some of the hardest working people I've ever seen in my life. And this is going to be crazy because from the outside looking in, before I actually did the job, I was one of those people that was like, well, what do they get paid for? I mean, they open up some doors, they post pictures on a website. And it was like, I'll be the first one to say it was stupid. Like that was really dumb, limited thinking on my end. And I was so wrong about that. When I actually did the job, I realized just how much actually went into it. So one of the interesting things that I learned going through that whole process was not only understanding the back end of things, like what truly happens between A to Z, where A is, look, I've decided to list my home, and Z, going all the way to the back end of it, where we're at the closing table and we are putting pen to paper and cashing the check that came in. And there's just so many little things that go in between there. But what I will say to most of the real estate agents out there who may or may not be listening, number one, I respect the hell out of what you do, having done it. And I know that in certain circumstances, there's just no better option out there in the world than working with somebody who has been down the path before. With that said, oops, sorry, let me just reply to Don. Let's see here. Yeah, I think this particular um, episode is definitely going to get like massive nominees, Emmy nominees, because this is just awesome. And of course, we have these technical difficulties on the live stream where everyone can watch us problem solve in real time. So let me just knock this out one more. Sorry, guys. Dead air is so good for retention. That's what I've been told. Oh, gosh. Okay. All right. All right. So one of the things that I like to bring up to people is it's sort of like I don't know. Imagine like if a Michelin star chef got really enraged every time they found out that somebody was cooking at home in their kitchen, or imagine that somebody got a Michelin star chef got pissed off that you decided to go somewhere else for dessert and not to their restaurant. I mean, that would be ridiculous, right? And that's how when I look at some real estate agents, I get really mad at the idea of people trying to do this on their own. So one thing they don't they don't talk about. Oh, there's Dawn. Look at how about that? Let's get her added. Mhm. This is so funny. Okay, I think we have Dawn. Let's see. Dawn, are you with us, darling? Okay, so we'll let Dawn work her camera and audio out. But what's interesting about this is, when you find people get upset about trying to do something on their own, if I don't know, if my contractor got pissed off at me every time I tried to hang a picture on my wall, I would start to wonder, well, why is this contractor so insecure about their abilities? Why do they care? What what I do or what I don't do. And so what we like to do is kind of remind people that there's always like there's different paths for people to take to get to what they ultimately are trying to accomplish. If they want to sell by owner, fine. If they need help of an agent, that's totally cool too. But one of the things that we don't really want to do is limit people and say, oh yeah, you definitely can't, you're definitely not capable of doing this on your own. You're definitely not the type of person who should be doing this. you know are there instances where somebody maybe shouldn't try going on their own and attempting to sell? Yes, absolutely. These could be instances where there's a legality involved. Like, for example, if there's a divorce going on, if the house is subject to a legal impediment, maybe it's a probate or something like that. So yeah, there's a number of reasons why people shouldn't necessarily try to sell on their own. And that's where like a real estate agent becomes invaluable. Or maybe you're just too damn busy. I mean, let's face it, like how dumb would it be if you're a cardiologist and you're making 30 grand a day and you listen to Tim Street, with the brain the size of a squirrel, and Tim says, oh yeah, doc, I need you to take a week off work so you can maybe save 20 grand in commissions. I mean, that's just stupid. So there are absolutely instances where it makes zero sense to sell on your own. Excuse me, I need some water there. I promise it's water. Um, but I think there are instances where that happens, and people just need to be, well, they need to be comfortable enough to know that there are instances where they shouldn't do this on their own. They have to be honest with themselves. I see a lot of folks; they will actually they'll go down a really bad path because they get focused on this idea that, oh, I could save tens of thousands of dollars in commissions without having to sell my home or without having to list my home with an agent. I mean, and I guess it's kind of short sighted. And here's why: what you need to focus on is what are you going to net bottom line in your pocket at the end of the transaction. And for those people out there who have homes that are in legal jeopardy, or they have lifestyles that they just cannot I mean, if they're being honest with themselves, they cannot sell on their own. Well, yeah, I mean, that would be absolutely foolish. It'd be the dumbest thing you can do to try to sell by owner, because you're going to net less money in your pocket, bottom line, than you would selling with a licensed agent, even after paying their commissions. So what I like to tell people to do, and in fact, I have, it's like, it'll take you 2 minutes. If you go to my website, for those of you who hasn't been on my website yet, shame on you. Go to my website. It's foolprooffsbo.com. That's foolproof, because I tried to make the whole thing foolproof. FSBO, FSBO. That's an acronym for sale by owner. I'm sure most people who watch this already know that, but for those of you who don't, check that out and go there and take the quiz. It's a 7-question quiz. I mean, maybe it'll take you 2 minutes, but what it does is it gives you a ton of clarity. It gives you a ton of, definitive answers of, hey, this either is a great idea for me, or no, this is the dumbest idea I've ever done. But here's what I do though. I'm not going to turn my back on you. If you can't sell by owner, it's not like, okay, well then there's nothing I can do to help you, so forget it. What we do at that point is we introduce you to a real estate agent in your area. I will have called them in advance and pre-negotiated their commissions down. So you're still going to save tens of thousands of dollars, whether you have to list with an agent or have to list on your own selling for sale by owner. So we try to make it a win-win. Like, just try to create a situation where you literally cannot lose, even if you tried. So I'm going to bring up some of the things we talked about last week in the video, which is much easier to say than do when I have all these tabs open. So bear with me. Yeah. So let's get that over here. Sorry, guys. How silly. All right, I'm going to pull this up over here. Now, if you haven't watched this video yet, I want you to stop what you're doing, go over to YouTube, look at last week's video, because last week's video is where I explain all of this. And if we don't do that, then it's probably going to get, it might get a little bit confusing to you. But one thing I want to cover with everybody is this channel that I've started with, it's all oriented toward helping you guys as the people I know in my community, the people who talk to me on a daily basis or weekly basis, monthly basis, because I'm getting questions all the time from people. And they can be very simple ones. They could be things like, hey, how do I even know if I'm asking too much money for my house or not enough? Am I going to leave money on the table? All the way down through, do I really need to spend hundreds of dollars on a real estate photographer when I have 3,000 Instagram followers and I know how to take photos? Well, the answer is yes. Don't be stupid. Work with a real, honest to goodness real estate photographer, because they understand things that, I don't care how good you are in Snapchat and Instagram and all these fun things. They understand composition. They understand the market of real estate photography. They understand what really matters. They understand what makes the difference between a good photo and a bad photo. Like, if you're like me, like that's one thing I can have an amazing claim to fame at, is I suck at understanding style and framing and composition. Like, I can tell you when it's a great photo, right? If I see a photo, I know, I'm like, oh yeah, wow, that is a great photo. But if you ask me to define why, I can't. It's something. It's a mental block. I don't know what it is, but I cannot tell you the difference quantitatively between a great photo and an amateur photo. I just know it exists. Now, there's the obvious, of course. There's the people out there who they just decide to have, like, I don't know, an old laundry hamper out when they're taking photos. They decide to, I don't, gosh, there's been just so many like ridiculous, so many ridiculous things I've seen people do on in their photos. I'm like, I can't believe you actually left that. I saw one guy, he had the so of course it was a for sale by owner. I don't know why. I don't know why. All right, guys, for sale by owner, fellas out there, ladies, if you're selling your home by owner, you're not doing it because you like to throw money away. You're doing it to save money. I get it, but there's a difference between being penny wise and pound foolish. Uh, Penny wise and pound foolish is a nice way of saying you're stepping over a dollar to pick up a nickel. You're taking really, really making dumb decisions with your money. And one of the dumbest things you could do is have bad photos, because, well, why? Well, we've been trained by everybody for the last 20 years, blame Amazon if you want, to do nothing more than comparison shop. And that works whether you're looking for houses, shoes, or cars. Like all you're going to do is flip through listing after listing after listing after listing till you land on something you like. Well, if you're not doing something that just attracts the eyes, if you're not doing something that gets people like their attention right there, you have absolutely no, they have no reason to actually like look any further. You have about, I think I'm looking this right now. It looks like about zero point 0.7 seconds. That was the number I was thinking. You have about 0.7 seconds to to get your attention, to grab somebody else's attention, rather, to get your content to a place where somebody's like, oh, that's cool. 0.7 seconds. Now, if you are in a spot where, you have, gosh, 10 other homes that you're competing with in your area. And let's say that they all have great photos and, oh, look at Dawn's here. Let me just add her. Dawn, hi, darling. I think you just showed up. Oh, maybe you didn't. Doggone it. Let me see what's going on here. This is absolutely not your fault. Hey, Dawn, how are you, darling?
Good. Sorry, I've been listening and a lot of tech issues. The link was broken. I apologize. So
no, are you kidding me? I'm so thrilled that you're here. I'm sitting here just babbling like an idiot, so it's okay. I was sitting here and I'm like, man, so obviously this is the first time we've ever used Restream, and I'm not going to blame Restream. I'm going to blame my technical incompetence, but I'm thrilled you're here. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Everybody, let me introduce you to Dawn Rickbaugh. Dawn is just amazing. I was on her podcast. What was like last week, a couple weeks ago. Anyway, it was just such a great experience. And she had such a cool story. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring Dawn on, especially for this week, because, this video I did last week, I was talking about all the ways that sellers find themselves in hot water unintentionally, some of the really dumb things that we do as sellers. And I was actually just kind of making fun of some of the listing photos I've seen people take. One guy had literally a plunger stick sticking out of an open toilet lid. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? It's like, and it's funny too, because when people sell by owner, we're already thinking, okay, this is like going to be some bargain basement stuff, which is why I am so serious about hiring professional photographers, putting our best foot forward, all that good stuff. But yeah, anyway, this is why I thought you'd be perfect for a discussion like this, because I know you spent like years around real estate paperwork, getting into some of the non-conventional things that people don't really think of. And I'm sure you've seen dozens of problems pop up when you least expect it. And so I just, welcome you here. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to kind of have you take a second and tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Oh gosh. Thanks, Sam. And sorry, my voice is a little funny. I'm going through puberty.
Yeah.
First it was menopause, then I went to puberty. So, the typical thing for.
Hey, you're going to start feeling feelings that are just weird to you, but just go. It's okay.
You're right. I do. So I graduated. I come from a family of doctors and nurses, and so I graduated as a nurse. I worked in the ER, the ICU. I had a bunch of kids.
Yep.
And by the time they were in middle school, and I'm almost 40 at that point, and I started feeling like, hey, you know what? My body's feeling like I'm 80 years old. I was kind of in a mild depression because I wanted to find out, how to quit trading my hours for dollars, right? I should be able to figure this out. I'm smart enough, So anyway, long story short, I quit my nursing job in 2004, and I'd fallen in love with what you call the note business, or the discounted mortgage business. In traditional circles, it's the mortgage market that created the meltdown, right? The mortgage-backed securities. So the banks originate the loans, then they sell them off to other institutions and things, package them up, sell them to your retirement, your pension fund. But there's a private piece of that. And so I got just fascinated with that. So I quit my nursing job and just said, okay. And well, if I'm going to since I love this note business, notes are secured by real estate. Well, I better learn something about real estate. So then I got my license. I got my license, and so I just put on all the hats since about 2004. And so I came to the real estate investing world from the note business side. So I've always had like
Gotcha.
these note colored glasses, these loan colored glasses, the way I look at real estate, everything, since that's my hammer, like everything's a nail. Owner financing, private financing. I haven't had a bank loan in over 26 years. I haven't asked a bank for a loan. So anyhow,
That is so cool.
Yeah. And so sorry if I'm like, the reason it matters to this crowd is that we got talking, and you're so brilliant about how you're articulating and providing this powerful information for people to
Tell
do
me
it.
more.
Yeah. But it was like, okay, but the best amenity is financing.
Yes.
For a lot of people, like who cares if the tile's a little bit different color in the bathroom? Someone's if they can get financing, they're gonna scramble. They're gonna pay you a premium for your property. So if there's 10 houses on the block listed for sale, and yours is the only one that offers owner financing, nobody else has a chance.
No, well, I mean, didn't you tell me? I think we were talking about one of your experiences, and this was when you were a real estate agent, and you had somebody reach out to you who wanted like 500, but there's no way it was worth 550, or they wanted 550. So you got them to list at 5, but you got them to consider that they would do owner financing, they would carry the financing, and didn't they end up getting like some insane cash offer?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So this was the early days when I was first an agent. Then there were several years I wasn't, but now I am again. So just to make that point, because I need to, it's going to come in really handy, and I need other agents to trust this information. Like, no, this isn't a fly by night thing, So anyway, the story goes is, he rehabbed a property and he says, well, and it's decent subdivision, and there were a lot of properties listed above 500,000. And he goes, well, I got to have 550. And that's it. And so I said, okay, great. We're going to list at 499, and you're going to advertise owner will carry. And he goes, no, I'm not. No, I'm going to list at 550. I want 550. And especially I have to have room to negotiate down. I'm like, no.
Oh God.
That's not how we do it.
I get so, that's my pet peeve. But anyway, I'm sorry. Please continue.
So she goes, I gotta have to. I said, just go with me on this, okay? Put your caveman club down just for a second. Just go with me here. So he signed the listing agreement for $499. But see, like I said, there was at least 10 other properties above that 500 price point. And he's going, well, my house is better, whatever. Okay. Anyway, listed at $499, owner will carry, even though he said he wouldn't do it. I said, just put it. Okay, let's go with it. It created so much activity that we had all these offers flying in. People were just, stumbling over themselves to submit an offer. And it was actually within a week, a little less than a week, he'd picked the highest and best offer, and it was exactly what he wanted. So in just under a week, 550 all cash offer, closing in like 2 weeks. So, but so it's the positioning. So much in life is not about the information, the other things, how hard you work, how smart you work. It's how you position yourself and how you play the game. It makes all the difference. I guarantee you, if we would have listed at 550, just like you wanted, we would have sat there.
Oh, you know it.
Month 2, he's going to start, well, okay, should we do a price reduction? Month 3. Now, it's just like when you create, what you've talked about, that auction like fervor. I know we're on the same page on this. You get results that that are surprising. You can list your 5 or 10% below market and get more than asking.
Well,
What you originally thought you wanted. It's just how you play the game.
well, that's what was so surprising to me. So after our discussion, like I didn't, so I knew that owner carried financing was a big asset, and like I think a lot of sellers make the mistake, and agents do this too. Like to me, the most amazing marketing piece in the entire process of listing and selling home is the price. It's the price followed by the terms very closely. And I guess I didn't realize how important the terms were. And so when you told me that, I actually went and I did some research because I was like, you literally inspired me to make a whole video out of it. And that's going to come out in like a few weeks. I'll tag you in it because you're the whole reason it exists. But what was amazing to me, I was doing the numbers. And I went in and started doing my research, of course, having Claude and Grok and all the boys do all my deep research for me while I slept overnight. And it turns out, if you were to create a pie chart, the population of home buyers out there, people who are actively shopping for homes, who have W-2 jobs and can get approved through an underwriting department, is 40%. We're talking all of these homeowners right now who are bitching about how hard it is to sell a house, who are complaining about nobody is being reasonable anymore. You're fishing in the shallow end of the pond, not even half. You're in the tiny minority of the pond. So by doing things, by creating terms that are favorable to the very high earning 1099ers out there, to the very high earning small business owners who, by the way, are probably a better credit risk than a lot of the W-2 guys out there. But
right?
Because the banks are stuck in the 1950s, they don't understand why I, as a small business owner, am going to write off as close to 100% of my income as possible. They don't understand why I'm going to take massive phantom depreciation losses on my real estate. That doesn't compute to them. And so all they see is a P&L that looks drastically worse than I would have had in my former life, making a quarter of the money I do, but at least I was paid every 2 weeks, and it was on a W-2 form, so they could track it. So, well, that was amazing to me, Dawn, because after our podcast, like my mind just kind of blew, and I was like, dude, this is the greatest like hack to just. I want you guys to really hear what Dawn just said, because you might have lost it. Even if the guy wasn't necessarily willing to carry the financing, he at least put the fact out there that he was willing to listen to it. He said, I'm willing. I didn't say I am. He didn't say I'm guaranteed. He said, I'm willing. And by just having that sense, because here's the deal. Let me put it another way. Let's pretend that guy said, over my dead body will I carry a penny of financing. Well, he sits on the market. Nobody's offering. And then a guy comes in and says, I'll give you 70% down. I want you to finance the remaining 30% at 12%. Guess how fast he would have been like, yeah, I'll do it for sure. Sign me up on that. So people can tell you no all day, but the reality is it's because they're scared, right, Don? Like it's because they don't know what it means. Like a lot of people have this misconception of, oh, well then what happens if he stops paying his note? Dude, that's the greatest gift ever. You get to take the property back. Or the real estate agents themselves. How many times have you gone to a real estate agent and said, hey, do you think your seller would be interested in owner finance? The answer you're always going to get is no. And it's not because they're not, it's because the real estate agent is probably intimidated that they don't understand what you're even asking, and they don't want to look stupid, and they don't want the extra work that they've perceived in their mind that it's going to be, when in actuality, we're probably going to close quicker with fewer contingencies in an owner carry.
Closer, quicker close. No, like someone who wants the financing and you're giving it to them, they're not going to nickel and dime you over the repairs.
Right.
It's the quickest, easiest sales you could possibly have. But it's not for everybody, nothing ever is, but not only the real estate, anyone who doesn't understand it, including attorneys, will just say no, because if they don't understand it, if they don't actively buy mortgage notes for their own portfolio, they're just going to say no because they don't understand.
Well, I'm going to make a really dumb assumption, if I could, and I apologize, but I do have to ask this because this was bothering me, and it was one of the questions I should have asked you last time. Who's this not for? Like you said, it's not for everybody, and I'm gonna, like I said, my dumb assumption I'm going to make is if I need almost like all the equity out of my house to even think of getting in my next house. Obviously, I can't finance that, right? Is that what you're getting at, or who else
Yeah.
would this not be for?
Well,
Okay.
Well, the only people that can, in the traditional sense of the note business that's been around for decades and decades and decades, it's just for context for you people that don't have as many gray hairs as I do, is that, the Wall Street banking thing wasn't always a thing. It's like we've become addicted to this and we think that's the only place that financing ever came from. But for decades and decades and decades, there's been a private market for owner carry property, and people buy and sell those notes, me being one of them. But you have to have equity. So if someone has no equity, they can't do this. They can do other things. They can rent out their property. But if they don't have at least, I would say 50% equity, or if they, like you said, if they need all their equity, or they have to get out of this loan to qualify for the next one, there's all sorts of things. Just because you can, and even some people who have 100% equity, and they'll hire me and they'll say, okay, I know that you can help me do this right, so that I get the right buyer in there, I structure the deal right, so that my note is worth, 90 cents on the dollar and not 50 cents on the dollar. There's all sorts of things. And then I get in and we talk, and we have a life coaching come to Jesus moment. And I say, look, based upon your situation, you can do this, but I don't recommend that you do this. All right. Because everyone's in a different, situation, their net worth, their needs for immediate cash versus long-term cash. And then there's people, like the thing that opened me up way back in the day, and this was before I quit my nursing job, but there's people that won't take cash. And there's a lot of people that they should not take cash when they sell their property. It actually is hurting them.
Yeah.
And when we bought our first property, little Patricia and John, and she wore a purple hat, and they knitted one. And they ran an old, remember when there used to be travel agents and stuff?
Oh yeah, I remember that. The Avon lady, travel agents. Yeah.
Yeah. And, owner, it wasn't owner may carry. It wasn't owner will carry. It was owner must carry. And you will have a prepayment penalty because this is our primary retirement strategy. So they're going to defer capital gains, and they were going to get double what the interest rate they could get at a CD at the bank, because I was going to pay them. So they, we worked out a deal. They would not have taken cash. And before these days of being addicted to these centralized drug dealers, financial centralized drug dealers, mom and pops used to make deals all the time, and they understood that this is a very common thing for people to take rentals and get tired of it and then turn it into notes, so that it's even more income, because there's no property taxes, insurance, maintenance. But you got to do it right, of course. I mean, is that dangerous? Well, is jumping in the deep end of the pool when you don't know how to swim dangerous? Yes.
It could be. I can see that. Yeah.
Right. So, but if you know how to swim, or you have a life jacket and a lifeguard watching out for you, then it can be a game changer. So there's something
interesting
that I would say, nope, you shouldn't do it. And a lot of people said, you're going to hurt yourself if you don't do it.
So which kind of brings me back to something we touched on earlier. And I am somebody who like especially every year when I get older, I realize like how many institutions are out to screw me. Like, it's like, I used to kind of have these like rose colored glasses on. We're like, no, most people try to do the right thing. And then I realized, like, as soon as you're like an institution or a government, I realize, oh yeah, no, you're just out to screw me. And like, so like when you were talking about how this is, something that's scary. And now we're on this like IV drip of big lender heroin. It's so like, it speaks to me, because my industry, the real estate industry, we've kind of done the same thing. And I've, I see myself as like trying to do a massive, like a re-education campaign almost to get people out of these limiting beliefs. Because there's so much money to be made by my industry to convince homeowners that they're too dumb to sell on their own, or they're too like they don't understand the law, or they're going to make pricing mistakes. And I kind of feel like the lending industry has similar incentives. They want to scare mom and pops. They want to scare people from believing that they can actually do life without them. So it just, when you said that, it made me think of how many corollaries there are between those two entities. Because I guarantee you, the giant banks out there do not want this whole idea of owner financing to take root, because that's going to necessarily cost them money.
Yeah. And so, back in the day when they're, the Dodd-Frank thing, lots of fighting, and they wanted to lump in the little guy, just the mom and pop landlord who always planned to carry paper later.
Right.
Carry paper means offer owner financing and receive interest income instead of rent income. You put on a different hat, same property. It's just, instead of rent, you're getting mortgage income. It's automatic. Right. It's better. Most people double their net income, depending on most people do. And for capital.
Let me understand what you just said here. Hold on. Let's go back to what you just, I think I just heard you say. I just want to make sure I understand this. The landlords double their net income by shifting from real estate to paper?
Yeah. So it's just how the numbers work. And it depends on, what interest rate you're going to charge. If you're going to charge 2%, that's way different than if you're going to charge 5 or 6%.
What can you charge these days? Can you charge like 2% above market, or?
Okay. Yeah. So there's so many juicy things here. It used to be, before our current market, the post-COVID market. The standard in the industry is that if you're going to offer the financing, then you should be compensated for the extra risk and for the benefit that you're getting someone financing without having them have to go through a prostate exam at the bank. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, tack on 1, 2, 3 points. If they can afford it, it all comes down to what can the borrower afford? And they've got to meet the DTI, standards and things. That's just something you don't want to put anyone in a situation. But now, so let's say when interest rates were 3 and 4%, someone can still pay 5 or 6% and they're still really happy. Right. But also prices hadn't doubled in such an egregious, monstrous way. So it made sense. Right. But now you have to charge less. If you want your price that has doubled in a grotesque way, and not because you were smart or good, it's because of monetary policy, and they're inflating our lives away, and they're stealing the wealth. There's a massive transfer.
Hey man, I'm telling you, let's go get our pitchforks and torches. Let's go.
No, it's gonna be. The Gen Zers are revolutionizing all over the world, overthrowing governments, and it's coming, because you can't go with this kind of inequality and leave the younger generations high and dry unless mommy and daddy can hook them up, which a lot are. It's like, can't wait till I die. You're never getting into a home unless I help you. So that boomer wealth that, if you had assets, we've done really well, hard assets. Well, and it's not, like I said, it's positioning, it's timing. So if you help your kid get in, that's the only way they change. But most don't. And I guess a lot of them don't even they want to rent instead. Like, why should I have the be of fixing things, or I want to be mobile. Why would I? But anyway,
I don't agree with it, but I know what you're saying.
But now I lost track of where we went, because there's so many great.
Well, I kind of interrupted you, and I asked what can people reasonably charge these days? Number one, it always comes down to what can someone afford? And how do you determine that? Like, if you're selling, how are you, like, I don't have an underwriting department. I'm not a bank. So how would I judge somebody deem them a good or bad credit risk?
Well, for one thing, the main thing is you have to decide or determine that they have the income. So you just have them fill out a 1003 before you take the next step. Like, do you really have the income to service this? Like, what's your income? What are your expenses? And then, PITI, you just go, is this relatively in the price range, or where it's about 40% of their gross, right? Their PITI, would it be at the terms that I want? Could they afford this on an average 30-year note? Even that, you don't have to write it that way, but if they did. So I do that first. And then if it looks like they can, and they can put out down a good down payment, there's nothing better than protective equity. The bigger the down payment, the safer you are, because the property would have to drop substantially for you to lose money. And by the time someone has that much skin in the game, they're going to move heaven and earth before they let go of the property.
Yeah. And to just out of context, I assume that a 1003 is allowing you to request their tax returns from the IRS. Is that what a 1003 is?
I'm sorry. I apologize. A 1003 is just simply a loan application form.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's simple PDF. You can download it online. It's just that the 1003 is a standard residential mortgage loan application form. Or you don't have to do that. Just say, email it to me, write it down, let me know. And subject to verification, right? Subject to verification. And if things progress and everything else is good, then what's going to happen is that I'm going to hire a mortgage loan originator to underwrite the file.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So you still see, again, that is so cool, because I kind of thought you were like lone wolf in this thing. And this is what people, again, I keep drawing corollaries to what I do in my industry. I tell these for sale by owners to work with a title company, work with a real estate attorney, work with a professional photographer, have your professionals that are like, use the same people that a real estate agent does, just do it without paying them the commission that you would pay them. So you're saying that there's these loan originators out there that'll work for a flat fee, or I guess, and they'll come out. And
it's like you put up, there's a handful of them. I have my favorites, but there's some that are national, that they are just in the business for owner carry. That's amazing. To the business, right? So let's just say you put up, you decide that they have a reasonable chance of flying through underwriting, right? So before you get into anything, then you have, as the seller, you put up the $1,000, and provided everything goes well, credit checks out, the income, all the things that they're proven to have the ability to pay. So you've done you don't have to do things people do, wild cowboy things like that, but there's no need to be respectful. Right. And it's an extra protection for yourself and for the buyer, that they don't get in over their head. That's and also, amazing. If you want to sell that paper, that note, it's easier to sell and for a better price if you've done everything according to the regulations that that we are dealing with. So, but at the end of the day, the buyer comes in and reimburses you that underwriting fund through escrow. So the seller has to front it, but the buyer actually pays it, like their loan origination fee, right? So it's very respectable, done correctly. I'm all about decentralized community, unplugging from Wall Street. This is a tapeworm system. It's a parasite meant to just steal our nutrition as individuals and as communities. I mean, just using a MasterCard, a Visa, you're robbing your local community of like over 3% of profits.
Yeah, because of the processing fees.
Yeah. So all this juice goes up to this parasite in Washington on Wall Street.
Yeah.
And at some point, maybe we get tired of that. The whole financial system's changing. Oh yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Yeah. I mean, it's changing.
It's not going to be the same the end of this year.
No, they just elected, I guess they just installed or elected, or I don't know how they do it, but they appointed a new Fed chairman, which apparently is like one of the founding members of the Bilderberg Group. It's like, are you kidding me? like it's insane. Like they're like just doing this right in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
And like the crappy part is there's nothing we can do about it. Well, I mean we can, but like not enough people are going to sacrifice a little bit of comfort now for some long-term gain in the future. And I think that's the problem. So that's why I love messages like yours, Dawn, because I've always been, I don't know how to say this politely. So I'll just call myself a contrarian. Like I've always believed that only dead fish go with the flow. And so when when I see somebody out there who's just got, their face buried in the phone and they're a robot and they're just, I agree with everything my friends agree with and blah, blah, blah. It's hard for me. It's hard for me to respect them because they don't have, there's no them. There's no self there. They're a composite of everything around them. And that's to me one of the biggest sins of not living this beautiful life that we've been given is not striking out our own path. But number two, I just love when there's like a way around things. I mean, it's so cool to find out that, oh, so I don't have to jump through underwriting. I don't have to answer stupid questions and get a panicked phone call because they found a Netflix membership, when I'm about to close on a house. Are you freaking kidding me? Yeah. Right. I mean, that kind of stuff drives me up the wall. I swore, and of course I'm an idiot because I've done it the last 3 times I've swore to God, I will never get another loan again. I will never get another mortgage again. Of course I find investment property. So I got mortgages again, but that's because I was not educated enough. I should have, if I could have, I should have figured out what private avenues I would have had at my disposal. And I guarantee you it would have been so much lower stress, probably would have even had better terms if I'm honest. Because some of the things that they pull on us down here, especially in Florida, it's insane. Between the banks, the insurance companies, they work together. Here's something for anybody who's not listening in Florida. Dawn, I know you're not here and this might blow your mind, but every 10 years, if you have a shingle roof here in Florida, and I think they've recently modified this, but for a while there, whether the roof was bad or not, you had to tear it off and get a new roof on there, or they weren't going to cover you because there were so many windstorm claims from shingle roof. So I just put metal on all of mine because in their infinite wisdom, the insurance underwriter said, well, metal doesn't have a life. We'll insure that forever. But like, are you serious? Like there's people who, they're on a fixed income and they come to find out next year, hey, your insurance is about to get canceled, or you spend 15 grand on a new roof. It's like, it's so stupid. And that kind of stuff just drives me insane. So I love that you do what you do. It's so cool. And it's so cool that you make it accessible. And now I've gotten to know you a lot better than I did initially, but when I was first reading about you, you've literally devoted years of your life to educating people about this, haven't you? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, after the 2008, I quit my nursing job in 2004 and I've been raising babies my whole life. I feel
at a girl.
Yeah. But, so all this thing, so then I had hung my hat, got the license and learned about real estate and played as an agent, did a lot of short sales in 2006. Then the crash happened. And then the people that were in business that I kind of cut my teeth,
mm-hmm.
they went belly up. Cause all of a sudden you couldn't make tens of thousands just hanging onto a property for 3 months,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I went out on my own and, they had given me this name as a joke because it was a gay guy in the office. And every time we would come up to have a meeting about investment opportunities, I said, well, why don't we ask these people if they're carry paper? If they'll hold a note. And right. So anyway, so they're like, see, he'd always tease me because I'm always bringing it back to this is where the note business comes from. The note business comes from people carrying paper. But nobody teaches people about this. Anyway, so he just, one day he's like, oh, here she comes again, the note queen. Always talking about notes.
That's
so
great.
It just stuck, and it was kind of an accident.
Should have been like, takes one to know one, bro.
And, actually I was embarrassed about it.
Were you? But it's such a cool name.
Yeah, but it's sort of ostentatious, like audacious. Like,
well, Has anybody challenged the throne? Because if not, I'd say you earned it. So don't worry about it.
At this point, I just gonna own it. I have earned it.
At a girl. Good for
but,
you.
but
I love
anyway,
that.
um, yeah. So what'd you ask me again?
I want everybody here to understand that they can actually reach out to you and find out. Like,
Yeah.
for
Okay.
example,
No,
my
just
parents.
go. Yeah. Go.
Maybe my parents would love to learn about is this something that they could do? Do you have maybe a quick quiz where people could take and say, this is for you, it's not for you? Or where do they learn about this stuff?
Yeah, you know what? Just go to notequeen.com. I have,
Okay.
okay, since 2008, I started a blog, and I've on my YouTube channel, I've got so many hours. I've been creating content and holding I hold now 2 free mastermind Zooms a month, totally free. I have a free online community that one's just getting started. But if you have more time than money, just go listen to a few things. There I have so much information out there. I have a few little products, books, and courses that will easily like get you oriented. But hey, if you're ready for that one-on-one, I do just take consulting clients, because within 1 hour, I guarantee you, I'll either make or save you literally tens of thousands of dollars, or help you not do something you were going to do, or help you do something you weren't sure you could do. Like in 1 hour, I literally changed the course of people's lives, and either say, yeah, this is for you. And here's here's 3 different ways. If you go, I'll lay it all out for you, and you can have peace of mind and confidence. But just start small. Just go start on my website, or, spend a couple bucks and buy a little book or a course if you think this is for you. But I'll tell you, the agents and the individuals that get their heads around this topic, they're worth their weight in gold, and they're gonna clean up, because as the market and the liquidity and things get weirder, it's the creative people that keep the wheel moving around.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
but you got to be smart about it, right? Like I said, don't jump in the deep end without a life jacket if you don't know how to swim.
What you said is interesting, because it brought immediately to mind. I come from the tech space. My DNA is, obviously Marine Corps, Federal Air Marshal, and then tech space for 20 years.
Yeah.
And so in the startups, we would often talk about things called moats, and moat is just it's just like we had in medieval England, a moat around a castle. What is it that's going to keep out the hordes of the heathens coming to invade our space? And so when I think about moats today, I think about AI moats, because a lot, like I fully recognize that well within 10 years, I should not exist as an online personality, because there's going to be a internet brain that's 50 billion times smarter, cleverer, maybe not as good looking, but it will be. Just kidding, Mom. I know maybe my mom's like the only one listening right now. Anyway, she's like, don't get a big head. But anyway, what's interesting about that is I think about moats. And so being a professional in this space, whether you're a real estate agent, whether you're an investor, you have to realize that AI is trained on data that is kind of, well, it's been sanitized. It's what you very rarely find hyper contrarian ideas when you're talking to an AI persona. And so by owning this very human thing of being contrarian, by having this kind of secret knowledge, you're going to necessarily perform so much better than somebody who just thinks they're smart because AI makes them sound smart, but the stuff they put out is just recycled drivel. It's slop that every other Bank of America sponsored idiot out there puts out, right? So I love what you're saying. I think people who take the time to learn some of the behind the scenes things are absolutely. I mean, they've always differentiated themselves, but now where AI can make even a moron look like a genius because it can literally feed you what to say. The real experts out there, the real success stories, are going to be the ones who actually truly have that deep. I don't want to call it an institutional knowledge, but it's almost like it feels instinctual. It feels like it was almost passed down. It's like one of those human things where you can only pass down from human to human. And it's like those stories that like the underground, the resistance tells each other, it's those legends. And I think this is a cool legend that the real fighters out there, the real performers out there, they should be telling. I think that's really cool. I think it's awesome what you're doing, Dawn.
Thank you. And you know what? You speak my language. Like, I do feel like it's a resistance, but
Yeah.
also I'm going to reframe it. I've been reframing it because what we resist persists.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I want to do with this last third of my life, where I'm leaving legacy, is to build. Okay, we're in the midst of a paradigm collapse. The old systems are crumbling, they're collapsing all around us, and they have to, because they were built upon power, greed, and inequality. They have to collapse. And it's shocking, and most people are going to go, oh, it's like run around with your chicken, the sky's falling, the sky's falling. It is, but it's right on time. It's supposed to. Okay. Yeah. But what are we going to put in its place? And I did all that grieving and all that shock a few years ago. COVID just really, ran me through it. So, but now what are we going to create? So let me reframe your AI conversation, if I may.
Sure.
To me, AI stands for angel investor. Mm-hmm. And it's our job to not only find them, but become them and create local economies where we live. Because look, if the grid goes down, and now this is extreme, but if the grid goes down, even somebody 2 hours away, a tenant I have or a borrower I have, they can't, there's nothing we can do to help each other. But if they're I can drive to their house in 10 to 20 minutes. We can still create networks of value for each other, at least for a period of time, that don't require cash.
Right.
I had one guy, okay, you can't pay me this month. He's been a great guy, right? Every other thing, he's like between jobs. His girlfriend stole the money out of his account, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, can you take a shotgun for the payment this month? And I go, let me look at it. Does it come with awesome. Does it come with any ammo?
Yeah, that's the expensive part now is the freaking ammo.
Yeah. And I said, yeah, for 1 month, yeah, if you have to do it, I'd be willing to. Or, oh, I know that you're a gardener, and you're brilliant. I know you have an excavator. Come dig me a hole, for my next septic, whatever. So there's things that can happen within a local community. So the people who have 100% equity in your market, people who own their properties free and clear, and ask all of your buds, your groks and your whatevers. But the typical number is up to 38% of properties are owned free and clear.
Okay.
That represents 38% of the properties could be managed by an angel investor. They don't know it, and you don't know it, and they won't know it until you offer them. Most people don't know they'll carry until you present them with an offer, right?
That's amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
But
it's a good way to relook at it too.
Yeah, except I don't know why this stupid thing keeps moving. But
you're on tilt-a-whirl by chance. Blink twice if you're being held against your will.
Yeah, hopefully like Morse code.
Do they have you stuck on a Ferris wheel?
Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, so it's a very sustainable community model that keeps the money. And when somebody owes you money and you owe someone money, everybody's invested in everyone doing well because everyone owes everybody money. So yeah, I'm going to hire you for a side job. I'm going to shop at your store because you're paying the salary of the guy who owes me money. And he wants me to do well because I owe him, he carried paper for me. So then you automatically care. It's not an abstract thing. You automatically care because everybody's invested together. Everyone profits together. So that's my AI blueprint that I'm going to be coming out with this year, my AI real estate blueprint, where non-bank housing meets non-Wall Street retirement for profit and economic resilience.
It's so
For
cool. It's definitely a blue ocean audience. I mean, the number of retirees out there are growing just exponentially every single day. The population's getting older, and I think you're right. I mean, I think that is like a from a paper perspective, that is a drastically underserved market. They don't even realize
no,
what they have, and yeah, that's really amazing. And it's funny too. Like when you were talking, I'm sitting here. So when I graduated high school in 1996. So I was born in 77, and when I grew up, it was funny because like the hippies and the left wing people was like the party is of, oh, we want free expression of ideas and we want to hear what everybody has to say. And as I grew up, I feel like that shifted a bit where like the left wing then kind of became more censorious and they were like, listen, we got to be careful that we don't have hate speech and hurt people's feelings. And then the righties were kind of like, well, no, we should be able to, that's how you define freedom of speech. You have to be allowed to say offensive things and not have a regard. And then like what ended up happening, and I think what you're talking about this thing during COVID is like the mask kind of fell off. Well, what an operative word to use, freaking masks. Anyway, the mask kind of fell off because up till that point, and maybe a little bit before I started having my doubts, but I truly did believe that it was really the R's and the D's up in Washington fighting each other for my benefit back home. And don't get me, now I realize they're the same freaking team. For yep. Anybody, it is not them versus them to protect us. It's them versus us. And I don't care who your guy is up there, who your favorite team is. They treat so many people treat this like a freaking sporting event. Oh, well, my team has more seats in the Senate, so we won. You didn't win anything. Shut the hell up. Like it drives me nuts because we're sitting there like cheering for our own demise. It's like, oh, I don't mind a bit of tyranny as long as it's my guys. We're in the same color tie that I'm doing. Yeah, go ahead and tread on my rights. It's fine. And so it's funny when you were talking about this kind of stuff, that idea of getting back to the local small, like what we're worried about here, decentralized. Yeah. Yep. And that's what, I mean, if you remember, that is what caused America to go from literally nothing to a superpower in 200 short years as we had a decentralized capitalistic economy. And it was the worst system in all the world, except for all the rest. That's what I always say. It's like, yes, our system is terrible, except for all the rest. And so like what I love to remind people of is just next time you get caught into this left-right paradigm, this bullshit that they try to pull over your eyes, that guy in Washington, he stopped caring about you the second he got there. Probably before, but I'll be charitable. There's like, if I could think of two people that I even think of are remotely good people there. The two guys that sponsored the Epstein disclosure bill, Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie. Like those are the only two people I respect. Everybody else just like, what the hell kind of country are you living in where you're fine with state-sponsored pedophilia? Like, what in the hell? Like, oh, if we were to release the files, the whole country would fall. Good, freaking let it fall. It's like, and it's like, oh, your cheating spouse telling you, well, I can't show you my phone or it will take away all the trust we have in our marriage. Are you freaking kidding me? Get the hell out of here with that shit. Yeah, we just got political really quick. I'm sorry, but like, you're getting me fired up.
Yeah, no, I love this energy that we have together. And I'm all there. And it's now I'm at the point where, and this is just for me, this is how I do it. I've got to be aware of what's going on, but I can't be absorbed with what's going on.
I know.
Because it now, you know where the spotlight is? What's happening here? What am I creating that no AI can? Now, angel investor, I can create a lot as an angel investor and finding and recruiting other angel investors, and we all profit together. But the AI thing, you want to talk about super intelligence? The natural human connecting to cosmic consciousness and all the records of all time. Now that's something.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we're at a point. You're going to choose the technological way, and AI is going to become a god instead of a servant, or are you going to like what is it to be deeply human and bring forth new, novel things that the world has never seen right before? And so it's more, what are you going to create? Stay centered in here. Clear your own heart. Talk to God. Whatever you do, like what am I uniquely here to do that nobody else can do exactly my same way? So it's getting into, it's breaking down. I've known it for years now. And I've already grieved it, and I've already been mad as hell about it.
Right.
Now, what am I going to create? So this is what I'm going to do. I have ideas now after years as a mom, as a nurse, in the note business, in real estate. Now I know how the pieces move together, and we can create something that it doesn't like break everything down. It just makes it obsolete. It's an option, not an obligation.
It's the Matrix, baby. It's Neo stopping the bullets. I love it.
Yeah, it's like it's
So
just
good.
irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
Yep.
There's a different parallel paradigm that we can use if we want to. So anyway, I gotta go. I'm sure you
I
got
was
to.
just going to wrap this up. Yeah, I kept you longer than I meant to, Dawn. Last thing, tell people how they can get a hold of you.
Notequeen.com. Dawn at notequeen.com. That's good enough.
Notequeen.com. Happy trails. Thank you for coming on. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody, but you have a wonderful day. Thanks for everything.
All right. Take care, Tim.
Take care. We'll be in touch soon. Bye. So everybody, just wanted to say thanks for coming on today. Sorry for the technical difficulties in the beginning. That will probably happen again if I know me, because I don't learn from my mistakes too easily. But I loved having Dawn on. Thank you, Dawn, for coming on. Next week, I'll put out a post who we're bringing on next week, and hopefully it happens a lot more smoothly. I am Tim Street, the FSBO guy. If you have any questions about how to get a hold of me, I'll put Dawn's contact in the show notes down below. Just give me a few minutes to do that. But in the meantime, reach out to me if you have any questions, if you're thinking about selling in the near future, if you don't know if selling on your own or with an agent is right for you. I'm going to disappoint you with the truth as opposed to comforting you with a lie. So you'll always get a straight answer from me. Tim at FooloProofFSBO.com, or just go to FooloProofFSBO.com and we'll see you there. So with that, hey, listen, this would be a good test too, if I could figure out how to turn this damn thing off. Anyway, it was awesome having everybody on. Thank you so much for joining us today. And once again, we look forward to seeing you next week. It'll be next Friday at noon. So Mom, thanks for watching. I'm sure you're like one of the 2 people that were on. So, all right. Have a great one, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.